37? Who says you're a kid?
Yeah, it's easy with these guys. Easy in that building too, right? To buzz around and feed off the energy. So.
Has this been as satisfying a regular season as you've had personally with doing something like this? And finishing first overall and everything goes with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you kind of see if personally, if you see like your trends of your goals and assists, and it kind of changes depending on what the team's doing. And I think you look at other guys' points as well. It sort of does that with the flow of the offense, right? If guys are getting more attention or have a big year the year before, maybe it switches the roles the next year, or maybe guys get more opportunity. And I think that's what I've been sort of fortunate to have this year and put the ball in the back of the net. And again, so many threats, so much attention all over the place on our offense that I've just been, gaining chemistry and continuing to build it over the time with the guys and again, finding some success there.
You won the first 4 games at home, and then the last, I think 3 out of 4 have been pretty close losses.
Mm-hmm.
What changed tonight to where when Halifax, had this back and forth game that y'all were able to punch back, and then obviously 3 consecutive goals at the end to pull away?
Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit with some of the guys. Is I feel like at home we're an emotional group as is. I think we all know that. We take some penalties. We've been a lot more disciplined the last little while here. But I think at home we sort of ride that. We're so passionate and we care so much that we kind of let it overtake us a little bit, as opposed to getting back to really what makes us successful as a group. Little loose balls, getting to the bench, those small things. So I thought when we got back to basics, and on offense, that's just simple stuff like getting through the middle, moving the ball, using our feet and attacking and making them make switches and stuff. So again, I think it's getting back to basics and sort of using that energy when it's needed and then removing it when it's not. So I think, again, we did a better job of managing that tonight and managing the game.
I want to say it's exactly 1-to-1, but this performance coming on fan appreciation, what did that sellout crowd, that energy throughout the entire game kind of do for that stint at the end there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we've had not some amazing success with sellouts the rest of the year. So it's funny how that correlates. But I think coming in as a visiting player in my past, you feed off that energy too. So it doesn't just go, it's not a one-way street, right, that we're the only ones feeding off that energy in the building. So it's certainly more on our side. And when we get in our roles, we see how valuable that is, and our fans support us in that. But again, I think it's staying true to our game plan and then riding those energies when they're important for us.
I would think, Kyle, this is a great way to tune up for the playoffs, just because you kept pounding them, and Halifax never gave up and always came back, and it was just back and forth the entire game.
Yeah, I think you've seen that a lot this year with us. We've had a lot of most of our losses, I think, are 1-goal games, other than maybe one of them. And that's certainly, you want to play tough lacrosse for sure. You want to play tight games and be able to win in those scenarios. So it was nice to get that one tonight. Again, pull away in the fourth quarter. That's going to be what playoff lacrosse is like, right? And I think you see, the mistakes are sort of magnified a little bit more when we get to that stage. So we're treating it like that right now.
Did you talk much before the game about grabbing the number 1 overall seed? Does that come up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, again, I said it on the floor that I don't know if you heard, it was just like our goal number 1 is to make the playoffs. Goal number 2 is be in this building for the majority of it if we can. We know what it means to play here. We know what it means to this city, this group. So that's definitely a huge part of it. We knew if we won one of the next 2 that we would lock that down, but it was more important to do it tonight at home.
Everybody, it's obvious that we see a lot of you in him, the way he plays very similar. Just talk about what he's contributed when he's been in the lineup, and do you mentor him at all? Do you talk to him at all, since you guys do have a similar game style?
Yeah, I'll answer your first part there. I think Clay just brings energy, right? It's a fresh face. Our core, it's tough to see Clinch out, right? I think he's getting back to healthy here, and you don't want someone to be out of the lineup if they're healthy. But Clay's done an amazing job just filling in seamlessly. And speaking to your second point about mentoring him, I think our offense sort of does that as a whole. Certainly as a smaller guy, I do talk to him about situations where how I try and get to certain spots on the floor, or maybe how to work with Josh or work with Mickey, or where Dane might be looking as well. So there's certainly conversations that happen there, but he battles on loose balls. He gets off hard. He runs on the floor hard, creates some confusion and some chaos in the middle. He's a great addition to our team. And again, I think sometimes it can be difficult to jump into an offense when they've been playing together a long time. He's done it seamlessly, so he's a great addition for us.
4 goals tonight, 4 primary assists from Dane on all of them. Kind of like play this little dump from Dane when he gets double teamed to you, right on the crease. I mean, in the most simplistic terms, kind of what about each of you makes it work so efficiently?
Honestly, I think it's trust. It's just one word. It's just trust in each other. I think, again, it took us probably a year to build that properly and understand what I like to do, what he likes to do. I know where his eyes are and what he's trying to do in each situation. And I think more and more as we continue to play together and continue, the ball goes in the back of the net, we just trust each other, right? And we know it can be two-way, maybe to Josh, to me, or whoever else wants to be included in that. But I think trust is a huge part of an offense and a huge part between Dane and I.
Right, you're talking about trust, this trust that this team has, you're talking about the core. How does that trust, this might be a simple answer, but how does that trust help y'all, with these close games that y'all have been in recently?
No, it absolutely does. It's a huge part of it because I think when you know what guys are going to do and what their job is, especially defensively too, or on a face-off or some scramble situations, when you trust that a guy is going to do his part, you're not trying to do something outside of your game. So I think that's a huge part of it, and why we are successful is that there is a lot of trust back there. Vino wants to trust that Paulie's in the lane, or wants to trust that Pre's going to get out on somebody. And on the offensive side, they want to trust that we're going to move the ball and see you when you're open. So I think it's a huge part of our game and why we are successful.
Kyle, you won't have anything at stake as a team next week against Georgia, a team that will have a lot at stake. How do you go into that mentally as the approach, in the sense that it's not like you can rest everybody. There's not that many subs. Josh Allen isn't around to sit down for the game. Everybody's more or less has to play, but it's not. It's going to have a little different feel to it because there's nothing at stake.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny one. You want to mentally sort of block that out and get that out of your head, because I think there's a couple things there. Number one, we get to spend some time together as a group and really gel before we go into the playoffs. So let's take advantage of that and enjoy that process, eating meals together, spending time together on the road before we get back home for round one. But the other thing is we may see them down the road too, right? If Georgia gets in, we don't want to ole the game and just say, hey, it's a throwaway, because it's not, right? And we want to improve our record and continue to build on things we've been doing. The last little stretch has been decent for us, so I think we continue to build, and that's the focus for next week.
We've talked, this has been a lot about lacrosse, but I know we talked about basketball in your March Madness bracket. How happy were you to see Florida take the championship?
I'm not a huge Florida guy. I was happy to see them win. I got third place, so I did get a prize, I guess. Well, third, fourth place. I did get a prize, so I guess I'm happy about that. But it was just good basketball. It was fun to watch.